As violence continues to plague Baltimore streets, talks in Annapolis over the proposed juvenile crime plan, they're heating up. FOX45 News is examining the back and forth between lawmakers as more children in Maryland fall suspect and victim.
The local school systems were just crying for help. You know, how do we spend this? What do we spend it on? And they weren't getting any response.
Maryland schools are spending tax dollars to learn how to spend your tax dollars. Project Baltimore is learning more about the funds the Inspector General says some schools never received.
And rain is moving into our area. I'll let you know when we'll see some heavier rain plus the chance for some wet snowflakes in just a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Well, good morning to you. Looking live over Towson this morning before the sun rises on this Super Bowl Sunday. It's February 11th. I'm Taylor Stewart, and you're in the right place. I think I just heard more, possibly snowflakes. Let's get your forecast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, you said more rain and some snow possibly. When can we expect that?
Yeah, it's going to be a messy couple of days. Mostly rain, not a ton of snow, but I will let you know when we're going to see the flakes in just a few minutes. But first, let's start off with the rain because that's moving in right now for your Sunday morning. So we see this main slug of rain just south of here. That's inching its way northward. That's going to be the main impact for our Sunday. And we've got more of this on the way Monday, too. Now, the best chance for snow is actually well north of here. See all that blue in central parts of Pennsylvania? Yeah, that's a winter storm watch. That goes into effect there tonight and will take them through Tuesday due to the potential for up to 6 inches of snow. We're not talking that here. Here, we're in the 50s, so although rain is moving in, it's mild, so it will stay all rain for us today. But keep the rain in mind as you venture out maybe to run some errands before the big game. Bring the umbrella and the rain jacket. Rain will be picking up by 9, 10 a.m., and temperatures will be cooling off back into the upper 40s at that point. Now, colder air is eventually going to rush in, and that gives us the chance for some snowflakes. Coming up in just about 10 minutes, I'll let you know exactly when you can expect that. Taylor?
All right, sounds good. Well, this morning, Baltimore police have released shocking video of what appears to be a group of teenagers in West Baltimore assaulting and robbing a man before running off. This comes as talks for changes to the juvenile justice laws are heating up in Annapolis this week.
I think there need to be some big changes just across the board, not just DJS, but just everything.
All this week, lawmakers and prosecutors went back and forth over changes which would hold juveniles more accountable. Now, while some say crimes like these prove there is no time to waste, others say the proposed legislation could do more harm than good. Vincent Hill has the story.
I know this bill is going to disappoint both sides of the debate.
As lawmakers debate over changes to the state's juvenile crime laws,
The man in jail was assaulted by 4 people.
the disappointment of juvenile crime being felt on the streets of Baltimore.
21-year-old male assaulted, consciously breathing.
Baltimore police releasing this video of who they describe as teens assaulting and robbing a man in West Baltimore, about 2 blocks away.
And a group of teenage boys jumped out and attacked them.
A 77-year-old man beaten during an attempted carjacking, the youngest suspect.
A face of a 12-year-old. To the political leaders, they are charged with the protection of the citizens.
Back in Annapolis, those political leaders at a crossroad.
This bill is about placing the failings of adults on very young children and children accused of committing minor offenses.
Under the new legislation, children under 13 would be charged with auto thefts. Currently, children under 13 can only be charged if the theft resulted from a violent carjacking.
It may not fall under the heading of crime of violence. It is a problem, for sure.
But not everyone agrees.
We made a clear effort to eliminate the youngest children from being exposed to the juvenile justice system. And now you have gone ahead and brought them back into the system.
But for this Butcher's Hill woman, that line of thinking makes her feel
That I don't matter, that what happened doesn't matter.
her assault captured on video. The perpetrators, 14 and 12 years old. The 14-year-old now facing charges. But since the juveniles took her keys during the assault, it wasn't considered a carjacking.
I was like the 12th or 13th person he's done this to.
Under current law, the 12-year-old free to do it all over again. Opponents of the proposed changes looking to the numbers and not the victims.
We are proposing a
a bill that is not based on any data, that is not based on any facts, that is not based upon any evidence.
The changes would also charge juveniles under 13 with firearm offenses. And according to several states' attorneys, the evidence is in the numbers.
Our gun crimes year over year are up 220%. My auto thefts are over 200% up year over year. My carjackings are up 85%.
Last year, we were referred over 1,000 juvenile cases, primarily cases that are felonies that involve very serious offenses.
Meanwhile, as lawmakers go back and forth about what's right for juveniles, victims are left to deal with the lingering effect of juvenile crime.
The hardest part wasn't being robbed. It was, the assault and almost losing my car and, getting punched and just the fear and all of that.
All right, well, let's take a closer look at the legislation currently on the table. Democrats unveiled their plan just last week with a main focus on the need for stronger consequences for young offenders. They aim to increase probation and require police to provide written documentation of youth taken into custody. It also outlines changes for the Department of Juvenile Services, including a shorter deadline for intake decisions and hiring more staff in the ankle monitoring unit. The bill would also change a portion of the current juvenile crime code, stating children under 13 can't be charged with certain crimes. On Friday, though, a number of state attorneys testified in favor of this bill.
Clearly, there are some issues that our young people are facing. We want to ensure that there is a system that has transparency, accountability, and real services that the kids are getting and that they are required to get. And so this bill, I think, establishes a framework for not only holding young people accountable, but also for holding those of us who are responsible to provide the services for these young people accountable as well.
One of the articles that I did pull is the 12-year-old who walks into an Anne Arundel County school with a loaded gun. And all of a sudden, we look at the law and we're like, oh, we can't do anything. What, you mean you walk into a school with a gun and you can't do anything? And remember, we're not talking about charging him as an adult. We're not even talking about necessarily putting him in detention. We're talking about getting that person the help that they need, that their family needs, so that 4 years from now, when they're 16, 17, or 18, I'm not sitting in a room with a family because they lost a loved one who died as a result of that person not getting the help they needed.
In the meantime, questions are being raised about how leaders will work with the Secretary of Juvenile Services, Vincent Schiraldi, given the difference in philosophies. One sticking point, probation. One bill with some traction aims to extend probation in certain cases, but Schiraldi has weighed the idea of getting rid of probation altogether.
One of the two things probation and parole are supposed to do is keep us safer. Parole made us less safer. Probation had no impact.
Last week, Fox 45 News pressed Senate President Bill Ferguson on whether Schiraldi could be a roadblock to the Democrats' crime plan.
Are you concerned that the Secretary of DJS may not be on board with the current policies or proposals being unveiled from the General Assembly?
We were there with the House Speaker and the Governor. The Governor is the chief executive. If he has confidence moving forward, I do too. He's the one that is charging his secretaries to implement the law. And so I think our job as the legislature is to hold everybody accountable.
Look, we sent questions to DJS asking whether Secretary Schiraldi supports the proposal to expand the length of probation and whether he supports other aspects of this proposal. We also wanted to know why he wasn't there when Democrats announced the plan. DJS responded in a statement, not addressing any of our questions. On Friday, we asked, do you think lawmakers should hold juveniles accountable for violent crime? 95% of those who voted said yes. Well, before you throw that Super Bowl party, make sure your food is good and you're not using contaminated items. After the break, the latest recall alert from the Food and Drug Administration.
And I'm tracking rain today, but the heavier rain actually moves through Monday night, followed by some wet flakes Tuesday morning. Accumulations look unlikely at this point. I'll explain the reason why in a couple of minutes. It's 7:09. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Tapping your consumer news here, foods you could be considering for your Super Bowl party may contain cheese that has been recalled for listeria contamination. The USDA and FDA say more than 5 dozen products sold under big brand names may contain that contaminated cheese. The dairy products were made by the Rio Lopez Food Company, and recalls have been continually updated since February 5th. It now includes chicken burritos, enchiladas, chicken bowls, dips, salad kits, taco kits, and the locations go from everywhere like Albertson, Trader Joe's, Costco, Safeway, Walmart, and many more. In our next hour, a local nonprofit's using pain, rather turning pain, into a service that benefits Baltimore residents each and every day. Keep watching. We'll introduce you to this week's Fox 45 Champion of Courage. And a bombshell audit exposes a massive misuse of taxpayer dollars intended to support schools in higher poverty areas. Project Baltimore is looking deeper into the concerns and exactly how your tax dollars are being spent. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Project Baltimore is sponsored by the Snyder Law Group. Don't just sue them, Snyder them.
The Maryland Department of Education is spending your tax dollars, bringing in consultants to learn how to spend your tax dollars. Well, it sounds bizarre, but as Project Baltimore's Chris Papst explains, a recent audit from the Inspector General for Education found that is exactly what is happening.
Knowing how much money that was earmarked for this program, we thought it was very important.
Rick Henry is the Maryland Inspector General for Education. On Tuesday, his office released this report, which raises serious questions about how local school systems are spending your tax dollars.
The blame has to be placed on MSDE because they were the ones who were running the program.
A few years ago, lawmakers in Annapolis passed the Blueprint for Maryland's Future, which pumped billions of additional dollars into public education. One of the programs the Blueprint created was the Concentration of Poverty Grant, which provides extra funding to schools in areas with high rates of poverty and crime. The money is intended for health care and other social services, but the IG found millions of dollars from that grant went unused because the Maryland State Department of Education did not train school systems on how to spend it.
MSDE had to hold all the responsibility in this because the local school systems were just crying for help. How do we spend this? What do we spend it on? and they weren't getting any response from MSDE.
From fiscal years 2020 to 2022, Henry says the program issued $233 million to school systems statewide. This audit only looked at 8 of Maryland's 24 school systems and found $12.3 million from the grant went unused. But what about the rest of the $233 million? Why was much of it used right away? Henry says many school systems hired consultants to study the law and train them on how to spend the money. The exact amount spent on consultants is not known because those consultants also performed other tasks.
Some of the school systems were able to spend the money because they spent money to hire people to train them on how to spend the money.
Yes, if you want to say it in that way, yes, they hired individuals to train them that were a program that was managed by MSDE.
Remember, the IG's audit only looked at these 8 schools. Baltimore City and Prince George's County, the 2 districts with the most high poverty schools, were not included. Which raises the question, could it be more than $12 million that went unspent for years because the state did not properly train the school systems on how to spend it?
It could be a larger problem. Of course it could be.
MSDE has recently come under new leadership. In October, following a series of Project Baltimore reports into his leadership, then State Superintendent Mohammed Chaudhry stepped down. A few weeks later, Dr. Carey Wright took over as interim superintendent. Henry's report issues a series of recommendations for MSDE, which includes improving how it monitors the concentration of poverty grant to ensure the funds are not misallocated. MSDE says it has already implemented some of the recommendations, and it plans to implement most all of the rest of them.
They were very cooperative during all parts of this process. They responded. They actually have a audit company or an audit provider who is looking at this right now, and we're going to wait and see what they come up with.
I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Project Baltimore wants to hear from you. Do you have a story you want to share about your child's education, a concern you need our team to investigate? Go ahead and call that tip line on your screen or send us an email to projectbaltimore@foxbaltimore.com. You can also find us on social media. All right, well, let's find out if we are going to see some clear skies today, but meteorologist Amy Aronson, I heard that may not be the case.
Yeah, lots of clouds, much like yesterday, plus a little more rain than what we saw yesterday. Yesterday wasn't too bad, but you'll notice today looks kind of gray, gloomy, and misty now looking down at the Inner Harbor. So nothing too heavy today, but we are tracking some steady showers just south of here, and they're starting to push northward. 53 degrees with a little bit of light rain already being picked up. Mostly cloudy, highs in the low 50s today, so pretty much staying where we're at. Temperatures will actually be cooling a little as the day continues. A rainy start to your Sunday. The heavier stuff actually arrives Monday night, and then we wrap up that next weather maker with a few wet flakes by early Tuesday morning. So here's what we're tracking on the weather map. We've got a system, a front that is stalled to our south here, and then we're tracking several disturbances that are kind of traveling right along that front. First one arriving today. You'll notice it's spreading showers northward gradually. Anne Arundel County already dealing with the rain. That's all pushing northward, so arriving in Baltimore now, and then eventually covering much of Maryland within the hour. So showers, that's the story today, at least to begin. Doesn't last all day. I think by 1 o'clock the rain wraps up. So if you are headed out to any Super Bowl parties this afternoon, this evening, you're in better shape for traveling around the region. Temperatures in the low 50s at that point with more clouds than anything else. Looks like that next batch of rain will hold off until Monday. So you're good heading home tonight too. Monday morning, getting out the door to work and school, you don't need the umbrella or the rain jacket. We are cooler to begin. We're back in the 40s and we'll stay in the 40s for much of your Monday with more clouds. Then here comes that next disturbance. This one's a stronger one, so it sends us some heavier rain late Monday, starting around 8 o'clock Monday night, continuing overnight with the heaviest rain pushing through very, very early Tuesday morning with temperatures hovering just above freezing at that point. So even as this system wraps out, our future scan showing a brief little blip of blue there, indicating some wet snowflakes. I don't think it should accumulate or stick because look at these temperatures. They are all above freezing through Tuesday morning. And then that system does get out of here by midday on Tuesday.
Named Taylor and Travis, and you're planning on tying the knot in Vegas, this could be your lucky weekend. Listen to this. Chapel of Flowers has announced they'll be offering free weddings to couples named Taylor and Travis. I gotta find me a Travis. This is gonna happen ahead of that big game. Now, this promotion also extends to the couple themselves. According to a new survey, 1 in 4 Swifties think there is a chance Travis Kelce will propose to Taylor Swift after the game. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens here. Okay. Well, employers can expect to see fewer faces in the office on Monday, thanks to the expected outbreak of the super flu. According to a survey from UKG, an estimated 16.1 million Americans are expected to call their bosses and pretend to be sick following the big game. And while you might be one of those people, experts say that the influx of people calling out can cost business some $6 billion. One business expert says this is a good opportunity for managers and companies to be open to discussing time off ahead of the game.
This is an easy conversation that managers should start a couple weeks before the big game and should give employees the room to tell them whether they want to take the day off or not.
The number of people expected to call out is so high this year that many are asking the question, should the Monday after the national game just be a holiday? Well, according to UKG, only about 1/3 of Americans would prefer that. I'd be in that 1/3 for sure. Some rain is on the way, but will it impact your plans for the big game, that Super Bowl this afternoon? We'll let you know. Meteorologist Amy Aronson's going to break it all down for you in her full Weather Authority forecast. And after the break, an exclusive sit-down with City Council President Nick Mosby. Fox 45 News presses him on his testimony at his ex-wife's federal trial and why the public should still have faith in his leadership. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
All right, good morning to you. Looking live over Allegiant Stadium, where we're less than 12 hours away from Super Bowl 58. Wow, what a day. How did we get here already? Thanks for being with us this Sunday, February 11th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's talk about your forecast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson is in with what looks a little gloomy this morning. May be that way for the remainder of the morning, huh?
Yeah, kind of damp and dreary. Some showers pushing into, but the showers will be confined to morning hours. So if you're headed out to any Super Bowl parties later on today, I think you're in pretty good shape. We are starting off with a little bit of light green just south of Baltimore. That's the start of the showers that are lifting northward through the region. They're going to be on and off through the morning hours, but at least we've got mild air in place. So it is all rain today. Low 50s to start things off. Temperatures shouldn't get much warmer than this. We should stay right around 50 all day long. I'd say showers up to about 1 o'clock. After that, just overcast for the second half of the day, leading off to kick off for the big game. You're in pretty good shape for traveling around the region. Temperatures will be holding in the low 50s and upper 40s. Now, overnight Monday, I am tracking a stronger weather maker pushing into our region. So coming up in just about 10 minutes, I've got an updated look at the timeline of that and what that means as we head back to work and back to school early next week. Taylor?
All right, we'll have to check back in.
It was my colleague who asked about the tax lien that was on your property. You said that it had been taken care of, but that was a lie.
Yeah.
Why did you lie to the public?
Baltimore City Council President Nick Mosby sitting down for an exclusive interview this week to discuss his financial troubles. We learned about them during his testimony in his ex-wife's federal trial. Now, he spoke with our Mackenzie Frost before filing his paperwork to run for another term. In a story you're seeing first on Fox, Mosby explains why the people of Baltimore should still trust him.
In his city council president office, Nick Mosby agreeing to talk about his testimony during his ex-wife's federal mortgage fraud trial.
It was my colleague who asked about the tax lien that was on your property. You said that it had been taken care of, but that was a lie.
Yeah.
Why did you lie to the public?
Well, at the time, I still didn't realize that there was a formal tax lien. I mean, it's a lot of complications with the way it was actually entered, but it was a personal matter, and I should have addressed it as a personal matter. So I regret that, and I think I've said that, and I'll constantly say that. So it's an opportunity for me to grow and learn from that.
You remember when I brought you a copy of the tax lien? Everyone has seen the video.
Correct.
Did you believe that that was real, or did you believe that I was lying when I had a copy of it that day?
So that was after I was on a radio show where a reporter, who was the only reporter, I guess, in town who had it, put it out on Twitter. And that sequence of events happened after that.
But you told me that you didn't deny the existence of a tax lien that day.
Again, I still didn't know there was a tax lien other than from that reporter. So I guess the concern was I didn't know how real what he had put out there or how he got it. But several competent attorneys, tax attorneys, couldn't find it.
We found the tax lien at the courthouse, where it was publicly available. During his testimony, federal prosecutors alleged Mosby claimed charitable donations that weren't real. Prosecutors say in 2014, Nick Mosby claimed $21,000 donated to charity. The same year, he was $18,000 behind on mortgage payments and his car was repossessed. In 2015, prosecutors say $15,000 was claimed as a charitable donation when he was nearly $10,000 behind on his mortgage and tens of thousands of dollars behind in taxes.
Did you give the $20-some thousand to charities over the years when the federal government says you didn't?
Taxes are a personal matter. I use a paid professional tax preparer to do my taxes. I'm not a tax preparer, so I've been open and honest throughout this entire process. That information has been with the federal government for several years now. This was the first time that I've heard that, like you heard it. But again, I was open and honest in court, and I'll continue to be open and honest about the situation.
If you're open and honest about it, tell the people of Baltimore, did you donate that money to charity or not?
So charitable donations is more than just donations, but what I will say is I used a paid professional tax preparer that I paid to do my taxes and provide the information, and it's ultimately what came out of it.
And as president of the city council,
Mosby says one of his biggest accomplishments during his first term as council president centers around professionalizing the council.
How can you professionalize the city office when your personal life is the way it is?
So I think that voters are human, and they know that we all have challenges. They know that we all make mistakes. I was 33, 34 years old at the time, really aggressively going after something that was a dream of mine, to become mayor of Baltimore.
Is that still your dream?
It's my dream to serve the citizens of Baltimore, but at the time to really go after and support the citizens of Baltimore in the way that I thought was best, and it created some financial challenges for me and really some consequences that I never intended.
Mosby is falling behind in fundraising for his re-election efforts. The latest reports show he has just over $180,000 in his campaign coffers. Zeke Cohen, seeking to unseat him, has pulled in more than $530,000. And Shannon Sneed, another candidate, has $169,000 in the bank.
They can raise all the money in the world that they want. They don't have the legislative record that I have. They haven't come and shown up in the way that I've constantly shown up for a city that I love. They're not from Baltimore. They're not by Baltimore. I am. And I think voters really see that and see through that.
They also didn't get on the stand under oath and admit to lying to the public.
Correct. So that takes a lot because you don't have to. I didn't plead the fifth. I got on stand. I was a man of what happened 10 years ago. I talked about it. And I think that was my duty. I've been responsive and transparent throughout that entire process. But I did not have to be. I did that because it was the right thing to do.
Can the voters trust that you won't lie to them again?
I think the voters do trust that and know who I am. They know my integrity. They know my character.
In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Earlier this week, we asked you if the election were held today, would you vote to re-elect Nick Mosby as City Council President? 96% of people who voted said no. Making headlines this morning, Baltimore police are announcing the arrest of 3 teenagers in connection with a carjacking earlier this week. Police say it happened on Wednesday morning on Bel Air Road, and according to officers, when they arrived, they found a woman who said she was approached by 3 males and ordered out of her car. They then took it, sped off in it, and the following day, officers found that car near Borman Avenue. Those 3 teens were inside, and after a brief chase, officers arrested a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 19-year-old. All 3 are facing charges. Frederick County fire officials say more than 120 firefighters worked to contain a massive fire Saturday afternoon. This has happened at an antique shop on South Carroll Street. Officials say when they got there, heavy smoke could be seen from multiple areas of the building. Firefighters were able to contain the flames around 5 p.m. 2 firefighters were injured, though. They're expected to be okay. A surprise shakeup in the U.S. Senate race as former Governor Larry Hogan announces he's running for the open seat. A political expert weighing in on what led to this decision.
And after a nice mild start to the weekend, it's back to reality early this week. We're close to 50 today and tomorrow, too. And then check out Tuesday, even colder. I'll let you know exactly what this means as a new weather maker moves into the region in just a couple of minutes. It's 7:38. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
All right, turning now to your 2024 election coverage. Former Governor Larry Hogan is now running for a U.S. Senate seat. He's vying to become Maryland's first Republican senator since 1987. During his time as governor, he pushed for 2 tough-on-crime bills multiple years in a row. Let's take a look at the Judicial Transparency Act first. Now, that bill would have published sentencing data, including a judge's name, A watered-down version of it passed in 2022, but critics say the changes didn't provide the transparency the original bill intended to create. The other is the Violent Firearms Offender Act. It aimed to implement mandatory minimums for felonies committed using guns and to impose stricter penalties on those who violently offend more than once. Now, it passed the Senate twice, stalled in the House. When he left the office, Hogan said that was his biggest frustration during his time as governor.
We had legislation that we thought was critically important, and every single year, all of the city leaders and all of the city legislators killed those bills. That's my biggest frustration of being governor, that we couldn't get that fixed. But it wasn't for a lack of trying, it was for a lack of cooperation.
Now, Hogan says he's trying politics, he's tired, rather, of politics in Washington, and wants to bring change to the Capitol. In his announcement posted to X yesterday, Hogan said he wants to get to work with solutions to fix what he calls the nation's broken politics and to fight for Maryland. However, Hogan's announcement came as somewhat of a bombshell for some political pundits, as he made it clear numerous times that he wasn't interested in a Senate seat.
I'm not really cut out to be a legislator. Going to Washington, arguing with 99 other people and never getting anything done. I'm not sure I'd be passionate about doing that every day.
One political analyst had this to say about why Hogan has had a change of heart.
I think because the Republican National Committee really twisted his arm in many ways to suggest we're willing to financially help you and support you any way you can, because Republicans want to get a control majority of the Senate.
Didi also telling Fox 45 News that Hogan's announcement could prove to be a major shakeup in a blue state. Stick with Fox 45 News for your complete election 2024 coverage. Stay with us here on air and at foxbaltimore.com as we continue to follow the most important races here in Maryland and at the national level. Brace yourself for a culinary touchdown, the tasty event that's bringing together foodies and football fans and some famous faces to make a lasting impact for hunger relief.
And a new weather maker is moving in today. I'll let you know exactly when to plan on rain for your Sunday plans and when we're tracking more rain next week in a couple of minutes. It's 7:42. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Oh, yeah, you hear it. We're just hours away from Super Bowl 58 in Sin City, and there has been plenty to do in Vegas leading up to the big game. Kalia Patterson with our affiliate in Las Vegas has more on the star-studded event where you can eat good and give back to children dealing with food insecurities.
I'm here at what some major chefs call one of the biggest culinary events of the year, Taste of NFL, where locals, football players, and those celebrity chefs come together. They eat good at these many food booths and raise millions of dollars for children with food insecurities. Celebrity chefs, retired NFL players, and fans fill their stomachs and hearts in the name of Gen Youth's commitment to tackle youth hunger and food insecurity.
When you think about the future of football, and really the future of anything, it starts with our youth and at the kid level.
Kyle Rudolph, former Minnesota Vikings player, is on the board of Gen Youth and says the millions raised at the Taste of NFL goes directly into the Las Vegas community this year.
It will impact this community far long after just this incredible week here this week, and trying to make sure that your kids that go to school, we make food easy and accessible for them.
Those millions raised from auctioned items and experiences NFL and Las Vegas related.
I actually texted my husband and I said, I just bought 2 Super Bowl tickets for $17,000, and then he lost his mind.
Each food booth highlighting top-notch names in the culinary industry like Chef Mark Bucher and Lashita Perry.
The students that are hungry, they should never be hungry in this country, really. We should have no hunger in this country, period. But this allows us to leverage the power of the NFL, the power of the Super Bowl, the power of the host city, and the power of us that come in every year and we do this to have fun, raise a lot of money, introduce some new recipes.
We're bringing the food, they're bringing the fun, and the NFL greats are bringing the football. Like, how fun is that? How cool is that? And we're in Vegas.
And aside from the plate, there were hundreds of fans who got a one-of-a-kind autographed football as a souvenir.
I'm excited to bring this home and give it to my son. He loves football, he loves watching, so he'll be excited to see all the autographs.
I think I got like about maybe 30 to 40. Michael Bankson, Eric Wright, Mike Davis, or Mike Wilson.
Some say something this big is the true spirit of Las Vegas.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I mean, it's something that will be with me forever, and you can't take that away.
Last year, Gen Youth and the Taste of NFL raised almost $2 million and served over 100 million meals to children with food insecurities. They hope to exceed that this year.
Oh, wow. Big day, big weekend. A lot of fun there, but a lot of fun here, too, for the big day and the big game. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, I'm curious to know if we got to bring the umbrellas with us as we're heading to those bars and watching the Kansas City Chiefs. I say beat the 49ers, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm just watching for Taylor Swift. That's all I'm watching for tonight. It depends when you're heading out. If you're going extra early, bring the umbrella with you. If you're holding off closer to kickoff this evening, you're in good shape. You don't need the rain gear. The rain will be moving out pretty early on today. Little misty to begin, though, little cloudy. Temperatures starting off mild. We've got 50s and 40s across the board here. This is where they're going to stay. So this is the stuff you want to dress for no matter when you're heading out today. Here's the system we're up against. It's a front that is stalled to our south. Weather makers are going to ride right along it. The first one's pretty weak. That's coming in today with some light, steady rain. The heavier rain is to our south and to our west. We're just going to be dealing with some light rain showers as we head through the first half of your Sunday. But this system's going to stick around for quite some time. So today we get some light rain wrapping up by 1 o'clock. After that, we're dry for your Sunday evening plans. Sunday night stays dry. Monday morning dry too. We do have another round of showers, though, now pushing in starting Monday afternoon briefly. And then here comes that next weather maker. This is a much stronger one. This arrives Monday evening. So Monday night around 8, 9 o'clock, we see this rain push into the region. Steady rain overnight Monday into early Tuesday morning. On the backside of the system, some colder air wraps around. I think for most of us, it'll be a chilly rain, but some wet flakes certainly possible. You'll notice our updated forecast model not showing much blue for our region. So I think if anything, just some noteworthy flakes as the system wraps out of here early Tuesday morning. So a busy start to a brand new week. We do have rain showing up late Monday. Temperatures in the low 50s. Temperatures will stay above freezing, so that's why we're just calling for that morning rain and a little bit of mixing, but no real impacts, no accumulations from that. We'll spend Tuesday in the upper 40s, and then for Valentine's Day on Wednesday, things look pretty quiet. A little breezy, mix of clouds and sunshine, and definitely cooler too, with temperatures backing off into the mid-40s. Now let's talk about what happens after Valentine's Day for the rest of the week. Looks kind of quiet. No big weather makers in sight here. We are tracking another weak system by the end of the week, setting us some increasing clouds Friday into Saturday, and a couple of showers possible by Saturday. Now, this forecast model showing the potential for rain and snow next Saturday, so that's certainly worth watching. So this would have an impact on the start of next weekend, but it looks like by next Sunday, either way, we are dry. So here's how that all plays out in your 7-day forecast. Scattered showers moving through this morning, another round of rain late Monday into early Tuesday. Little bit of mixing with that north of Baltimore, but no big impacts. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday look quiet. And then we are tracking the potential for a few showers on Saturday. We'll have to watch that next system closely. Looks like it could come with a rain-snow mix too. Taylor?
All right, sounds good. Well, with a double overtime loss to Ohio State, the Terps have now dropped to 3 in a row. Coming up in Sports Unlimited, what went wrong for Maryland on the final possession of the game?
Welcome into your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. It's been a rough season for Maryland men's basketball. There's no sugarcoating it. The Terps should be better than the record shows, but instead they're one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. And after dropping 2 straight, it only got worse for Kevin Willard's squad. Terps on the road taking on Ohio State, looking good early on, opening the game on a 13-4 run. Jameer Young cooking from the start, knocking down the 3 there, and that would lead to a timeout. Less than 9 minutes to go. Dante Scott getting in on the action. He was dialed in from deep as well. That puts the Terps up 8, but the Buckeyes would storm back before the half, taking their first lead of the game with less than 5 seconds to go on a Bruce Thornton layup. Jameer Young's full court heave, just off the mark, nearly gets it to fall. Second half action now. Terps up 2. Jameer Young beyond the arc, and it's money to put the Terps up 5. But Ohio State would not go away. Thornton from 3 ties it up with a minute to go. Terps going to have a chance to win it. Guess who has the ball? It's Jameer Young, but he cannot get the shot to fall. So with that, we go to OT. Tied up. Again, Young can't get it to fall, so now we go to double OT. Tied at 73. This time, Young gets it to fall, and it gives the Terps a 2-point lead. He had a game-high 26. Buckeyes would tie. Guess who? It's Thornton again. That guy wouldn't go away. That gives Ohio State a 2-point lead. So Terps with it here. Dante Scott attacks, and he's blocked by Zed Key, and that leads to points at the other end as Maryland drops its 3rd straight game, a 79-75 heartbreaker in double overtime. Army-Navy is one of the greatest rivalries in any sport. Mids down 4 with under a minute and a half to go. Austin Benini, transition bucket, cuts the Army lead to 2. Mitch Fisher would hit free throws with 4 seconds left. And with that, this one goes to overtime. But in OT, Charlie Peterson going to give the Black Knights the lead, and they would go on to win this one with 3 last-second free throws of their own, 69-67. Army and Navy women also went head-to-head in West Point. Second half action, Navy down 13. Zanai Barnett-Gay spots up and knocks down the jumper to cut the lead to 11. Fourth quarter now, Trinity Hardy is going to put it out of reach with 2 of her game-high 23 as Army goes on to beat Navy 70-58. UMBC women taking on the defending champs from Vermont. Carmen Yanez led the way for the Retrievers, tying her career high with 12 points, knocking down the 3-ball here. But Emma Utterback and the Catamounts, they were too much in this one as the Retrievers fall 69-45. Fans in College Park had a front row seat to a clash of not only 2 of the best teams in the state, but 2 of the best teams in the entire country. Number 4 Maryland and number 12 Loyola squaring off at CQ Stadium. And this one was a good one. Let's get to the action. Terps jumped out to a 4-0 lead against the Greyhounds. George Stamos with the goal here. That's the first of his career, a memorable one. But Loyola would bounce back with 3 straight of their own. Henry Haberman cuts the Terps lead to 1. Third quarter action, Terps would pull away. Daniel Maltz had 2 on the day. Maryland going to improve to 2-0 with the 11-4 victory. There have been a handful of moving pieces for the Ravens coaching staff, from guys leaving for head coaching jobs or to defensive coordinators elsewhere. Then you have those who have received internal promotions. Aaron Wilson, who covers the NFL, is reporting that the Ravens have given pass game coordinator and secondary coach Chris Hewitt the title of assistant coach. That was previously held by Anthony Weaver. Assistant head coach is the title he'll get. Weaver left to be the DC of the Miami Dolphins. With that, Hewitt, who is getting looks from other teams, will return for his 13th season on the Ravens staff. The NFL season comes to an end tonight, and it will be the Chiefs or the 49ers holding that Lombardi Trophy high when it's all said and done. Brock Purdy will look to lead San Fran to its first Super Bowl victory since 1994, while Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they have a chance to be the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls since the 03-04 Patriots.
Yeah, I think just the opportunity to have a back-to-back championship. I mean, I got close a couple years ago and fell short in pretty disappointing fashion. And so just being able to be back on this stage and have that opportunity, not a lot of teams have had that opportunity before, and obviously not a lot of teams have done it. So just having that opportunity and trying to make sure that we maximize that moment.
All of the strain, the stress is to get to this moment, playing 3.5 hours of the championship. And so for us, we're like, all right, we are where we want to be and where we've always wanted to be. And now it's just going to come down to the moment and keeping things simple and playing the game how we know how to play it.
San Fran is the odds-on favorite ahead of this one. The last 2 Super Bowls, just keep in mind, have been decided by 3 points or less. Kickoff for Super Bowl 58, that's scheduled for tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. That's going to do it for your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Thanks for watching, and have a great Sunday.
As violence continues to plague Baltimore streets, talks in Annapolis over the proposed juvenile crime laws are heating up. Fox 45 News is examining the back and forth between lawmakers as more children in Maryland fall suspect and victim. And a surprise Christmas visit nearly turns deadly in Northwest Baltimore as a woman's ex-boyfriend pulls a gun on her current boyfriend before going on the run. Still ahead, the efforts to track him down on Maryland's most wanted.
And some rain is moving into the region this morning. I'll let you know when we could also see some snowflakes this week in a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Well, we're here with a live look over Allegiant Stadium this morning, where we're less than 12 hours away from Super Bowl 58. Wish we were there, but it's all right. It's good to be here this Sunday, February 11th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get to your forecast, as meteorologist Amy Aronson just said rain. I don't think that's going to stop any fans today from enjoying the game, but hey.
Yeah, exactly. Not a ton of rain either, and the timing is pretty good for anything you have planned today. We're knocking it out of the way early. So rain is moving in this morning, shouldn't last all day, should actually wrap up this afternoon, and then this evening we are dry again. Temperatures will be staying at this point pretty much all day, so this is what you want to dress for if you're headed out to any Super Bowl parties. Upper 40s, low 50s across the region. We're not tracking much of a warm up today. We're pretty much going to stay where we're at. We are looking at more clouds than sunshine today. That chance for rain should wrap up by midday. Temperatures in the low 50s at that point, and then just overcast for the rest of the afternoon and the evening too, with temperatures once again in the low 50s. We do have a stronger weather maker headed our direction come Monday, though. I'll let you know exactly what that means for the start of a brand new week in 10 minutes. Taylor?
Thanks, Amy. This morning, Baltimore police have released shocking video of what appears to be a group of teenagers in Northwest Baltimore assaulting and robbing a man before running off. Now, this alarming crime comes as talks of juvenile crime laws heat up in Annapolis this week.
I think there need to be some big changes just across the board, not just DJS, but just everything.
This past week, lawmakers and prosecutors went back and forth over changes that would hold juveniles more accountable. Now, while some say crimes like this one prove there's no time to waste, others say the proposed legislation could do more harm than good. Vincent Hill has the story.
I know this bill is going to disappoint both sides of the debate.
As lawmakers debate over changes to the state's juvenile crime laws,
The man is down, was assaulted by 4 people.
the disappointment of juvenile crime being felt on the streets of Baltimore.
21-year-old male assaulted, constantly breathing.
Baltimore police releasing this video of who they describe as teens assaulting and robbing a man in West Baltimore, about 2 blocks away.
And a group of teenage boys jumped out and attacked them.
A 77-year-old man beaten during an attempted carjacking, the youngest suspect.
A face of a 12-year-old. To the political leaders, they are charged with the protection of the citizens.
Back in Annapolis, those political leaders at a crossroad.
This bill is about placing the failings of adults on very young children and children accused of committing minor offenses.
Under the new legislation, children under 13 would be charged with auto thefts. Currently, children under 13 can only be charged if the theft resulted from a violent carjacking.
It may not fall under the heading of crime of violence. It is a problem, for sure.
But not everyone agrees.
We made a clear effort to eliminate the youngest children from being exposed to the juvenile justice system. And now you have gone ahead and brought them back into the system.
But for this Butcher's Hill woman, that line of thinking makes her feel
That I don't matter, that what happened doesn't matter.
her assault captured on video. The perpetrators, 14 and 12 years old. The 14-year-old now facing charges. But since the juveniles took her keys during the assault, it wasn't considered a carjacking.
I was like the 12th or 13th person he's done this to.
Under current law, the 12-year-old free to do it all over again. Opponent to the proposed changes, looking to the numbers and not the victims.
We are proposing a bill that is not based on any data, that is not based on any facts, that is not based upon any evidence.
The changes would also charge juveniles under 13 with firearm offenses. And according to several states' attorneys, the evidence is in the numbers.
Our gun crimes year over year are up 220%. My auto thefts are over 200% up year over year.
like carjackings are up 85%.
Last year, we were referred over 1,000 juvenile cases, primarily cases that are felonies that involve very serious offenses.
Meanwhile, as lawmakers go back and forth about what's right for juveniles, victims are left to deal with the lingering effect of juvenile crime.
The hardest part wasn't being robbed. It was, the assault and almost losing my car and, getting punched and just the fear and all of that.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the legislation currently on the table. Democrats unveiled their plan just last week with a main focus on the need for stronger consequences for young offenders. Now, that would increase probation and require police to provide written documentation of youth taken into custody. It outlines changes to the Department of Juvenile Services, including a shorter deadline for intake decisions and hiring more staff in the ankle monitoring unit. The bill also seeks to change portions of the Juvenile Crime Code, the one that states children under 13 can't be charged with certain crimes. Yeah, and on Friday, a number of state attorneys testified in favor of this bill.
Clearly, there are some issues that our young people are facing. We want to ensure that there is a system that has transparency, accountability, and real services that the kids are getting and that they are required to get. And so this bill, I think, establishes a framework for not only holding young people accountable, but also for holding those of us who are responsible to provide the services for these young people accountable as well.
One of the articles that I did pull is the 12-year-old who walks into an Anne Arundel County school with a loaded gun. And all of a sudden, we look at the law and we're like, oh, we can't do anything. What, you mean you walk into a school with a gun and you can't do anything? And remember, we're not talking about charging him as an adult. We're not even talking about necessarily putting him in detention. We're talking about getting that person the help that they need, that their family needs, so that 4 years from now, when they're 16, 17, or 18, I'm not sitting in a room with a family because they lost a loved one who died as a result of that person not getting the help they needed.
However, some say the legislation could go even further, should rather. On Fox 45 Morning News, we spoke with Republican delegate Lauren Ariken. Now, she says the proposal does not address the major accountability concerns raised by police and investigators.
I didn't think it really went far enough, frankly. Some of the worst pieces of legislation that had moved caused police officers to be unable to question youth. So what's happening is that if we can't question them, none of them are really even getting charges. So our data is still lacking in how bad this problem really is, because a lot of these juveniles are never even seeing the inside of a police station.
On Friday, we asked, do you think lawmakers should hold juveniles accountable for violent crime? 99% of those who voted say yes. Fox 45 News has done extensive coverage on Maryland's juvenile crime laws, and we've got a complete list of stories for you on our website, foxbaltimore.com. We're hours away from Super Bowl 58 in Sin City, and our next half-hour sports agent and NFL insider, Doug Eldridge, joins us with a preview of the big showdown.
And yes, we're tracking some light rain this morning. The heavier stuff comes through Monday night, followed by some wet flakes early Tuesday morning. Accumulations unlikely, though, from that, as that storm's now taking a more northerly track. I'll explain what that all means for the week ahead in just a couple of minutes. It's 8:09. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Making headlines this morning, Baltimore police are announcing the arrest of 3 teenagers in connection with a carjacking that happened earlier this week. Police say it happened on Wednesday on Bel Air Road in the morning. And when they got there, they say they found a woman who said she was approached by 3 males who told her to get out of her car, stole it, and sped off in it. Now, the following day, officers found that very car near Borman Avenue, and those 3 teenagers were inside of it. After a brief chase, officers arrested a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 19-year-old. All 3 are facing charges.
Neighbors call 911 after witnessing a woman running through the streets yelling for help. I'm Alexa Ashwell. Tonight on Maryland's Most Wanted, how a Christmas morning almost turned deadly and the search for this man.
A Christmas Day love triangle nearly turns deadly. Here's Alexa Ashwell with this week's Maryland's Most Wanted.
Investigators say on Christmas, Isaac Abarca Diaz went to the home where his ex-wife and her new boyfriend were. The incident ending with shots fired and Abarca Diaz on the run.
December 25th, 2023, Northwest Baltimore. It's Christmas morning. A family is gathered inside of a home here on Bancroft Road in Northwest Baltimore's Glen community, when suddenly, according to investigators, a familiar face shows up. That familiar face identified as 39-year-old Isaac Abarca Diaz.
Diaz arrived to the home where his ex-wife and his ex-wife's boyfriend were.
Investigators say Abarca Diaz begins arguing with his ex-wife's new boyfriend. The argument quickly escalating.
The 2 men began arguing, then it turned physical down the stairwell.
According to investigators, the 2 men began wrestling in a backdoor stairwell. Abarca Diaz then pulling out a gun.
Diaz then pulls out a firearm, points it at the boyfriend of his ex-wife, and pulls the trigger 2 times.
I-34, I have a call coming off of Class of Help, 3905 Bancroft. It says they hear a female running on a block yelling for help.
Neighbors call 911 after hearing the gunshots and a woman's cry for help.
And now we're getting a call an assault in progress at 3911 Bancroft. All right, guys, it's turning into a discharge in 3911 Bancroft. Shots fired.
09, I'm en route.
Police respond.
The witnesses are saying they heard gunshots in the basement.
And find the victim in the basement.
Miraculously, the male victim isn't hit.
The bolts missed him.
House was clear.
Abarca Diaz had already fled the scene. Police put out a bolo.
All right, guys, if y'all see a gray car that's involved a Hispanic male with black clothing on, there's a female with stating that the father has a gun.
Abarca Diaz on the run and armed.
Diaz does have a criminal history, and Diaz does have violent tendencies within his criminal history. Anybody who is going to brandish a firearm and pull that trigger towards a subject or a witness or a victim needs to be off the streets. We can't have somebody running around with a firearm who's willing to use it.
Take a good look. Abarca Diaz stands at about 5'2" and weighs approximately 130 pounds. Investigators do warn he is known to have violent tendencies. If you have any information regarding his whereabouts, you're asked to contact the U.S. Marshals Service, the tip line number 1-877-WANTED-2. Or you can contact agents directly at 202-819-5058. Update. A Baltimore man accused of forcing himself onto a woman as she slept has been captured. Last summer, Thomas Jones was featured on Maryland's Most Wanted. Fugitive was wanted for 3 sex offenses, including second-degree rape and assault charges for an incident that occurred back in April 2023. Investigators say police located Jones on West Lexington Street in West Baltimore and took him into custody. Jones is due in court next month. If you recognize any of our fugitives, remember, you can always remain anonymous and you could earn a reward. I'm Alexa Ashwell, and this is Maryland's Most Wanted.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about your forecast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson with the update for us. The sun is up now, but still looks a little cloudy behind you.
Yeah, definitely lots of clouds out there today. Not a ton of sunshine, otherwise pretty quiet. We've got some showers that are pushing their way northward, arriving in the Baltimore region. Low 50s, that's where we start things off, and that's where we stay pretty much all day along with the clouds. The rain today will be light. The rain come Monday night will definitely be heavier. I think we could see a few flakes early Tuesday, but our snow chance from this next system looks pretty minimal. So here's system number 1. You'll notice it's stretched out from the south right into Maryland currently. That rain just starting to inch its way northward, taking over the Baltimore region. This will last through about midday, through about 1, 2 o'clock. After that, we're drier for the second half of the day while we await our next weather maker. So this is weather maker number 1, not a strong system. Showers should wrap up between 1 and 2 o'clock. After that, if you're headed to any Super Bowl parties, you're in good shape for traveling around the region tonight. Just mostly cloudy with temperatures in the upper 40s to near 50. Monday starts off dry. Work, school commutes, you're in good shape. We get a few showers pushing through right around midday, and then we're dry for your commute home. 8, 9 o'clock, here comes the steadier rain. Some heavy rain overnight Monday into Tuesday. The system now lifting more to the north, so dragging a lot of mild air in with it. You'll notice our temperatures all well above freezing, so for us, this is mostly a rain event, even as it wraps up now Tuesday morning. Couple of wet flakes possible on the backside of this system, but I don't think we're going to see anything really in terms of snow from it. So for today, not a ton of rain, about 0.05 of an inch in most locations. Then we throw Monday night system into the mix, and you'll notice these numbers climb. A lot of spots end up with closer to an inch by Tuesday morning. That's all rain, not snow. So for today, plan on some showers through about 1, 2 o'clock. If you're running some last minute errands, heading to the grocery store, I'd bring the umbrella and the rain jacket. Low 50s will continue this afternoon. Tonight for watching the big game, pretty quiet conditions, mostly cloudy across the region, temperatures falling back into the mid-40s overnight through your Monday morning. Monday, we've got that stronger system coming in, some late showers from that, wraps up early Tuesday as mostly rain. I actually took the snow icon out of my 7-day forecast with the latest update. And then Wednesday's dry for Valentine's Day. Little cooler, breezy, we're in the mid-40s. We're dry through the end of the week, but then we're watching another system on Saturday, and this one will come with the potential for a rain-snow mix too. So we'll have to keep an eye on that next Saturday. Taylor?
The road to the big game is sponsored by Royal Farms.
We are hours away from this year's Duel in the Desert, and Uber Eats is already receiving backlash over its commercial that will run during the commercial breaks. Now, the celebrity-packed ad features a running joke about people's forgetfulness against constant reminders that Uber Eats services go beyond food delivery. Now, look at this. One clip shows a man eating peanut butter and reading the jar's label, seemingly forgetting that there are peanuts in peanut butter, while visibly having an allergic reaction. That would be me. The Food Allergy and Research Education Organization say they're disappointed Uber Eats would make light of a life-threatening food allergy. They also say 33 million Americans suffer from food allergies, and the condition is nothing to joke about. Changing lives one Saturday at a time. After the break, Fox 45's Champion of Courage tells us a story of friendship, food, and community transformation. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. A group that provides college scholarships is also weeding out a pain in Baltimore communities. Now, Shannon Lilly and photojournalist Megan Quinn introduce us to this week's Champion of Courage.
Any given day, you see all the people talking about the different pains in the city.
Pockets of pain.
Homelessness, poverty.
Around just about every corner. The Jonestown neighborhood, no different. Situated between the bustling Harbor East and downtown, the dilemma here.
It's about just a lack of access to resources is pain.
The nearest grocery store, a 15-minute walk if you're willing to spend.
Donkey, try again.
And it's that pain.
How many times have we been doing this?
One group hopes to uproot and turn to something beneficial.
It says BP and then beneficial pain.
Whether printed on their bags or on their sleeves.
You look down, and if you're having a tough day, you can say pain is inevitable, but make it beneficial.
Devin Harvin and Bill Wingo not only live by that motto.
Like the story of, our whole organization.
They're taking it to the streets.
We're here every Saturday, so, rain, sleet, or shine, we're going to be here.
Every Saturday from May to November.
This is a picture of me and Devin here and some of the members of the community.
These longtime friends turned business partners bring the grocery store to Jonestown, setting up their Joshua's Pantry here in the Exeter Gardens.
Milk, bread, oatmeal, and then here goes all the fruit.
And it's all for free. But what's now a blossoming nonprofit started from a seed that was anything but.
When you're 22 years in college, I played football all my life, you think you're invincible.
5 years ago now, the then senior football player at Stonehill College says his life forever changed.
Kind of like the room is spinning, when you hear the doctors say, you have cancer.
The diagnosis coming at Johns Hopkins one morning. Testicular cancer, stage 3, already spreading to his lungs.
And I remember I was downstairs in the basement studying, and I got that text. And then he reinforced that text by saying, this idea of beneficial pain, it's now real.
Bill admits it was harder to see the benefits then, but attributes in part his recovery to immersing himself in the idea that would grow into this.
You really don't get to feel that gratitude in the moment. It's kind of like when you look back and say, hey, it was all worth it.
Pain.
5 years in remission.
That was fruitful. It's the very idea they hope to cultivate here.
Yes, life is unfair. Yes, things happen. But if we take just a step back and look at it from a different lens, I think it's important that this city especially sees that it's beneficial.
That's why Bill, Devin, and their nonprofit, Beneficial Pain, are champions of courage.
All this month, Fox 45 is saluting our champions of courage as positive role models who keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream alive. You can watch our Champions of Courage special on March 2nd at 11:30 a.m. on the CW Baltimore. You can also catch it the next day, Saturday, March 3rd, on My TV Baltimore at 1 p.m. And again, right here on Fox 45 at 11. That rain is on the way, but will it impact your Super Bowl 58 plans? Meteorologist Amy Aronson.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. 8:30 now as we look live over Legion Stadium, where we are just inching towards Super Bowl 58 today. Unfortunately, our Ravens aren't there, but look, we're coming back next year. Thanks for being with us this Sunday, February 11th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's talk about your forecast because there's going to be some rain. Meteorologist Amy Aronson. When can we start expecting to see that rain is my question.
Yes, soon. So we're going to knock it out of the way early today. It's going to be a morning event. And then by the time you head to any parties later on, you're in good shape. The rain's gone. It's out of here. And it's nothing too heavy. Some light stuff showing up just south of Baltimore right now. And that's going to be the story for the first half of the day. Rain showers should wrap up between 1 and 2 o'clock. We're starting off in the comfortable low 50s. This is pretty much where we're going to stay all day long. So it's not the warm 60s from yesterday, but it's not bad for mid-February. We are looking at a cloudy second half of the day, so even after the rain departs, not a lot of sunshine in our forecast. Low 50s ahead of us this afternoon and this evening, too. Now we're tracking a stronger weather maker early next week, and I do have some changes with that system. I'll let you know exactly what they are and what that means for the first half of the week in 10 minutes. Taylor?
All right, standing by. Well, this week, Mayor Brennan Scott and his team announced that his group violence reduction strategy has officially expanded into the Central District, and it will move into Baltimore's Eastern District later this year. But this morning, some are questioning why the program needs to be in the Eastern District, a district that was applauded last year for its success in reducing homicide and getting more guns off streets. While fielding questions during Friday's announcement, Mayor Scott also acknowledged the Eastern District's success. Take a listen.
They're already doing much of, if not most of, the GVRS work already is happening in the Eastern District. And you saw how well they did in the Eastern District with crime and violence last year.
Now, many are questioning why the mayor would not first expand his gun violence reduction strategy into that district and the ones that are struggling. It is a question Fox 45 News sent to the mayor's office. In the meantime, political analyst John Deedy says the move is smart during an election year.
It is a smart political move to do something like this because it's an area that's having fewer problems, which is easier to show success. when you're doing that. It's like tutoring an A student instead of tutoring a C student. It's going to be easier to show results with the A student than the C student.
All right, joining us this morning to weigh in, law enforcement expert Dr. Tyrone Powers. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's talk about results first, and we really want to kind of look at this from two different angles. So if you really delve into the numbers in the Western District, it was actually the deadliest with 41 homicides last year. But Mayor Scott says that's because the city went through a massive redistricting plan for police. Is that a valid argument?
Well, I don't know if that's a valid argument. I think that there's a number of strategies that are in place, including the one that he's talking about that's working. There's a number of community engagement going on throughout the city. Some of it we're not even aware of and don't talk about. I think in a lot of communities, there are a lot of more community members getting involved, but also there are other policing agencies that are getting involved that may not be a part of the mayor's analysis as he talks about the programs that come out of his production rather than programs that are sporadically in the community that are having an impact and an effect.
Now, researchers out of University of Pennsylvania, they found that the GVRS strategy, group violence reduction, it contributed to a 25% drop in homicides in Baltimore's Western District when it was piloted. I'm not sure if this study was commissioned. I'm still looking on that. But do you think this is maybe a political move and less of a policing policy decision?
Well, two things. All policing to an extent is political because every mayor and every police chief wants to say or claim that they have dramatically reduced crime in those particular areas. The research can indicate a correlation, not causation. The research can't actually say that this actually caused that or had this to happen. We know that by its presence, it didn't harm it, and that we think that because of that and because of the elements of this, and maybe it has worked in some other cities or have been correlated to work in some other cities, that we should expand it to other places. But police by itself, especially in Baltimore, have always been political. Politicians in many cases have put in plans in order to make them look better. They've dramatically reduced crime by the time they were in office rather than putting in something that could permanently dramatically reduce crime. So there is some politics in it, but if it works at this particular point with the people in the city feeling on occasion victimized, any reduction of crime, anything that makes them feel safer and better, they're willing to have implemented no matter who gets the credit. I think the mayor is looking for credit because it's a political year. We talked about this before, Taylor, as President Truman said, it's surprised what you can accomplish when you don't care who get the credit, when you actually strategizing, as you were trying to say, just based on what's effective, not based on what's politically expedient.
Last two questions here. So the GVRS strategy uses life coaching, behavioral health, mental health, housing support, case management, really factors that deter crime. According to the mayor's office, it has been the most effective, right? So why do you think they're calling this more effective than the gun violence reduction strategy?
Well, two things. I don't think it has been. I think it's been an addition. Like I said, there's a correlation between what's happening with it. I think there's a number of other factors. I don't know what you say this would be the most effective. I don't even know if you have to rank them. You just have to put things in place that are effective. What police have done, the strategies that the police department have put in, they're being monitored by the consent decree. Actually, traffic stops are up across the city, so they're engaging more. At one point, we said they were taking a knee. Now they're trying to do constitutional policing without disengaging. So that's another factor in this. So I think this is a factor. I think the mayor takes credit for it because it's a mayoral initiative rather than a police department initiative or a community initiated process or coming out of the state's attorney's office. So I think that's political policing. But I think what's key to this is, despite all the rhetoric from the mayor's office, that we continue to make sure that we put things in place to dramatically reduce crime and reduce victimization. We've talked about this a lot, Taylor, that we always talk about perpetrators. We want to reduce crime. We know there has to be some intervention, interception, and some consequences, but we don't speak enough about the victims in the city. And I think if you want to get a true indication of how impactful any of these programs are, then the surveys or the data collected should be going out and talking to the people in these particular neighborhoods. Because if they don't feel safe and they're still saying things, no matter how many press conferences, political conversations you have, it's not going to change dramatically over time, permanently. We're going to have ups and downs, but not permanently.
Right, you're right. People behind the numbers, I guess we really need to focus on. We'll continue doing that, and we'll bring you back to have this conversation as we continue to see how this strategy impacts the city. Thank you so much, Dr. Tyrone Powers.
Thank you, Taylor. Have a great day.
Likewise. High above Allegiant Stadium, a silent defense force is ready to protect Super Bowl 58 from above. How the 140th Fighter Wing is ensuring airspace safety during the biggest sporting event of the year.
And after spending Saturday in the 60s, it's back to reality. We're near 50 today and tomorrow, and then even cooler come Tuesday. I've got an updated look at our precipitation chances for the week in just a couple of minutes. It's 8:37. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Oh yeah, you hear it. Super Bowl 58, hours away, and I mean, can't get here any sooner. Sports agent Doug Eldred, the Keeley's PR, joins us live this morning as we preview that big game. Good morning, Doug.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, sports analysts project the 49ers could win it all, but look, the Chiefs are the first team with the opportunity to win back-to-back Super Bowls. Them boys are hungry. How close do you expect this game will be?
Well, that's the question of the day. I mean, it's a 2-point game right now. The Niners are 2-point favorites, but you have serious Vegas gamblers that are sitting this one out because it's that close. To put it in context, if this were a political race, 2 points would be considered inside the margin of error. It would literally be too close to call.
Oh my goodness. I mean, we're talking about MVP caliber quarterbacks, physical defense, top-ranked defense and offense. But let's talk about Brock Purdy and Mahomes. Mahomes has been to the Super Bowl before. He's got that on his belt. But Brock Purdy, this is his first time. He's going to be on that big stage. How do you think they'll stack up today?
Well, you know, Kelsey and Swift may have the Hollywood romance, but Brock Purdy is crafting the Hollywood story. This is a former Mr. Irrelevant, meaning the last player taken in the draft. Now he's the starting quarterback for the favorite heading into the biggest game in all of sports anywhere in the world. You could not write this tale better. In terms of the head-to-head matchup, this is the proverbial David and Goliath. David obviously being Brock Purdy and Goliath being King Mahomes. I mean, they have an armada, an arsenal of weapons around him. He's been to the mountain before. This is going to be a heck of a matchup.
Oh, this is. I really do love a comeback story, and I feel like with Brock Purdy having a bad start to a great finish, makes my heart feel good. But anyways, we got to ask the question that all football fans are probably tired of. Taylor Swift, she's been getting I mean, look, she only gets about 30 or 40 seconds on air, but she's drawn so many viewers. We're talking about an uptick of like 58%. Look, we've got to comment on it. What do you think will happen today?
I mean, look, irrespective of what happens to their relationship, the big winner of this romance has been the NFL. And exactly to your point, the demographic that they've pulled in terms of, you know, just indifferent sports fans, the huge female viewer base because of her musical following, the NFL is laughing all the way to the bank. Irrespective of who wins later tonight, the NFL is the big winner.
And we're all eating it up, aren't we?
Oh, let's talk about food. Hang on a minute. So 1.25 billion chicken wings, 325 million gallons of beer, 19 million pounds of chips, 8 million pounds of avocados are consumed on Super Bowl Sunday in the United States. And that's just in the Eldridge home.
Oh,
so
my.
imagine what the rest of the country is doing.
Well, share some with us, Doug. We are all locked in for this game today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Next year the Ravens, but we'll chat again.
They're on the doorstep.
They are? All right, thanks, Doug.
See you soon.
Before you throw that Super Bowl party, make sure that the food you're using is not contaminated. After the break, the latest recall from the Food and Drug Administration. All right, we're back with a live look over Allegiant Stadium as we inch closer to that big game. Security is top of mind when it comes to the Super Bowl. And we're not just talking about on the ground, also in the skies. Christina Lopez, our affiliate in Fresno, shares how their 144 fight wing is set to add another layer of protection to the large-scale event.
All eyes will be on Allegiant Stadium in Sin City this Sunday, including Eyes in the Sky. The 144th Fighter Wing in Fresno is one of several units nationwide tasked with protecting the skies during Super Bowl 58.
That's a unique opportunity, especially being this close to that event.
But it's not just Fresno taking part in this large-scale special mission. There are many players, not just on the field, but in the skies, working to make sure the Super Bowl remains safe for all.
This is an entire interagency process. The Air Force, the DoD, and NORAD are keeping the skies safe, but then the FAA is working with the Secret Service. The FAA will set up a 30 nautical mile flight restriction, a TFR, over the top of Allegiant Stadium during the game.
That mission, also known as an Aerospace Control Alert Mission, will do so on behalf of NORAD to keep the country's skies safe. Although the specifics of the flight mission remain tight-lipped, one detail that isn't confidential, the skies will be heavily safeguarded over the big game.
That will be protected by aircraft that are airborne and ready to escort out anybody that shouldn't be in there.
With a strong air defense, the 144th Fighter Wing says it's prepared for any scenario where security could be breached.
You never know. It does happen.
Aside from an opportunity to provide defense against any aerial threats, Colonel Clark says it's a chance for the Fighter Wing to show crowds just what they can do.
This is a neat opportunity for everybody involved. We've had a chance to display some of our capabilities.
144th Fighter Wing says it is proud to protect the airspace for the United States.
And speaking of planes, Taylor Swift makes her final touchdown in Los Angeles ahead of Super Bowl 58. She just completed 2 Tokyo shows from her Eras tour. Now, fans, like usual, have been speculating as to why Taylor did not arrive directly to Sin City. Still, many believe it's due to heavy private jet traffic, a problem we all have, right? Recently, more and more people have been looking into Swift and her jet usage. As a result, her legal team is now threatening to take action against a college student who's tracked her and other celebrities' jets. Jack Sweeney, a junior at the University of Central Florida, has run social media accounts for years, logging the takeoff and landing of hundreds of public figures' aircrafts. The accounts use public information from the Federal Aviation Administration and hobbyists to track aircrafts from signals. Swift's attorneys wrote Sweeney a cease and desist letter in December, so the pop star has dealt with stalkers and harassment over the years. Sweeney maintains, though, this information is publicly available and serves as a way to measure the figure's carbon footprint. In the meantime, while many football fans are divided on which team they want to see win tonight, it turns out so are the animals at the Cincinnati Zoo. The zoo shared this video of Fiona picking the 49ers. However, her little brother Fritz thought the Chiefs could win it once again and bring home that Lombardi trophy. Well, even in the crustaceans, they're getting in on the action. I haven't seen that word in a while. Check out this crab from the Sea Life Aquarium in New Jersey. The unnamed crustacean predicts Kansas City will win it all. His handlers say the animal has 67% success in predicting winners. Wow. Its caretaker says its name will depend on who wins tonight. If the Chiefs win, the crab will be called Patrick, after quarterback Pat Mahomes. And if the 49ers win, he'll be named after Brock Purdy, after San Francisco's quarterback Brock, after Brock Purdy, obviously. All right, let's go ahead and get over to meteorologist Amy Aronson for an update of our forecast, because if the rain starts in the morning, maybe we can cook in the morning, get everything prepped, and then...
Perfect plan.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Knock it out early, get all your errands done early. You just might have to bring the umbrella, the rain jacket with you. We are dealing with a little bit of light rain right now. Towson looks pretty empty. Maybe folks already have everything they need in their house for any parties they're hosting this evening, because York Road looks pretty calm at the moment. We're starting off cloudy, temperatures in the 50s across the board, so not bad. Not as warm as it was yesterday, of course, and these numbers aren't going to change a whole lot. They'll stay in the 50s today as this weather maker moves through. So I am tracking an area of low pressure pushing in from the south and from the west, setting us a period of light rain this morning. Should wrap up between 1 and 2 o'clock. We are tracking a stronger system, though, tomorrow. So let's talk timing here. Today, showers roll out of here between 1 and 2 o'clock. After that, we're just cloudy for the rest of your Sunday, heading into your Monday morning. Here comes our next system. Little appetizer from it coming around midday tomorrow with a brief period of showers. But then here's the real heavy stuff coming through Monday night after your drive home. So this arrives late, 8, 9 o'clock. The steady showers push in. Heaviest rain falls overnight through early Tuesday morning. Latest track keeps this system well to the north. That means coldest air well to the north. That means snow for central Pennsylvania, but for us, we miss out. Mostly rain for us even through Tuesday morning now. I don't even think we're looking at much in terms of flakes. And that system should clear out of here by Tuesday afternoon, turning breezy for your Valentine's Day on Wednesday. So I did make some updates here. I took the snow out of the forecast completely. Rain arrives late Monday, wraps up early Tuesday. We are dry by Wednesday with a mix of clouds and sun, little breezy with highs in the cool mid-40s. Now let's talk about what's coming for the second half of the week. We've got another potential for a rain-snow mix that arrives next Saturday. So the system doesn't look too strong at the moment. Worth watching, though, as we get into next weekend. This forecast model, just one of 2 long-range forecast models, does show that rain-snow mix potential briefly on Saturday. It's long gone by Sunday. Now, the other long-range forecast model that I'm not showing, yeah, that one just shows rain. So we'll have to watch that system next Saturday. But right now, in the short term, we are tracking rain only Monday into early Tuesday. After that, we're dry Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But then we do have to watch that next system next Saturday for the potential of a rain-snow mix again. Taylor?
Snow mix, okay. Topping your consumer news, foods you may be considering for your Super Bowl party could contain cheese that is being recalled for listeria contamination. The USDA and FDA say more than 5 dozen products sold under big name brands likely have cheese with listeria contamination in them. Now, this cheese was made by the Rio Lopez Food Company, and the recalls have been continually updated since February 5th. Those products now include chicken burritos, enchiladas, chicken bowls, dips, salad kits, taco kits. And they've been sold everywhere from Albertson, Trader Joe's, Costco, Safeway, Walmart, and many more. Go ahead and check your fridge. According to an exclusive report from Reuters, Cisco Systems says it will lay off thousands of employees. The official announcement could come next week when Cisco makes an earnings call on February 14th. A source says Cisco is still determining how many employees to lay off. All right, let's get over to America's Steals and Deals.
The following segment is sponsored by Knocking.
If you're like me and everybody in your house is on a health journey, this Counto digital scale is really going to help you maintain a healthy lifestyle. I did a lot of research and I'm so excited about this. I'm going to show you what you get when you bring it home. But it is a digital scale and it gives you 12 different body measurements, not just your weight, because our weight really fluctuates. So this is going to give you more information, like you'll get your BMI, your bone index, and your basal metabolic rate. And if you're a new mom, it's really cool because there's a baby growth setting and you can put it in baby mode. And if you're an athlete, like I have a lot of muscle men in my house, you can also measure your muscle mass. I don't like getting on a scale. I do not, but knowledge is power, and this gives me so much information. It's really been a game changer with my health along that journey. This pairs with any smartphone, so you can take all of that data on this scale, and it's going to be on your app. Now, let me tell you how this works. The science is a little bit much. The scale can measure all these things. All you got to do, you step on it. It uses bioelectrical impedance, which measures how easily an electrical signal can move throughout your body. I know it's a lot, but that signal is going to move faster through muscle, so it can help you track what's muscle and what's fat. This is such a great deal and a cool product. Right now, we're offering 38% off the Counto scale. Head over to asadeals.com for this exclusive offer.
5 on this Sunday morning. Looks a little quiet, cloudy, little drizzly out there, looking down at kind of a sad M&T Bank Stadium. I feel like it's almost a sad day here in Baltimore because we should have been there today.
We should have.
Yeah, next year. Maybe next year at this time. But yeah, we are tracking some scattered showers this morning. Drier this afternoon with highs in the low 50s, so not bad for any Super Bowl parties you're going to. We do have a stronger weather maker moving in Monday into Tuesday. Initially, there was talk of snow with that system. No longer looks to be the case. Mainly rain late Monday into early Tuesday. Wraps out of here. We're dry for Valentine's Day. A little cooler, a little breezy. We'll spend Wednesday in the mid-40s. We're quiet for the end of the week, but then we are tracking another weather maker come next Saturday. I know everybody's getting tired probably of us saying that potential for a rain snow mix and then not getting any snow. That's going to be one of those days again where we're going to have to watch that on Saturday. We do know we have a weather maker coming in. It's just a matter of, are we going to get the cold air? If we do, we'll see some snow showers from that system. If we don't, it's going to be all rain. So Saturday, worth watching if you're planning ahead. Next weekend's already President's Day weekend, which is crazy. February's flying by. But if you're headed out of town or something, plan ahead for that. The temperatures in the mid-40s, but at least we're quiet for anything happening this evening.
And I like that Valentine's Day, rain dissipates and love is in the air, and so is sun.
Perfect for some dates.
Absolutely. We're back here at 10:30. Thank you so much for joining us here at Fox 45 Morning News. We appreciate you. It's good to be seen. It was nice to see people yesterday at the Expo.
Yeah, everyone was awesome.
It was. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back later.